do the job, when does the job start, Steve? Now you can only take one thing out of this place, your reputation, mate. You know what yours is going to be.
If we then proceed to Senator, I don't think it matters where I go to then. Senator Xenophon, we'll deal with yours, seeing we'll just go down the list. Senator Xenophon.
Thank you, Mr President. I ask that business of the Senate notice of motion number 2, standing my name for today, proposing a reference to the Legal and Constitutional Affairs References Committee on Documents and Legal Parliamentary Proceedings be taken as a formal motion.
Is there any objection to this motion being taken as formal? There being none, I call Senator Xenophon.
Mr President, I seek leave to make a short statement before moving that motion.
Is leave granted? Leave's granted for 2 minutes. Senator Xenophon.
Thank you, Mr President. Mr President, this relates to matters that have a long history, what many regard as the Heiner affair. I note Senator Joyce's previous advocacy in relation to this. I have had discussions with my colleague Senator Brown from the Australian Greens in relation to this. My understanding is that they may not be minded to support this particular motion, but in the event that this motion is not passed, I will continue to advocate for the passage of this or a similar motion, and in good faith I'll have discussions with my colleagues in the Australian Greens on that in subsequent days and weeks. I do point out that I do have a note from Hetty Johnston, the founder and executive director of Bravehearts, who said this: she believes that it is incumbent upon every member of Parliament to support this motion, leaving aside the matters around the shredding of the documents, rightly or wrongly. The issue raises serious issues around the rape and abuse of girls and boys at the John Oxley Detention Centre. The same issues that legitimately prompted the original establishment of the Heiner inquiry remain unresolved. That every member of Parliament, especially those who espouse particular interest in the issue of child protection, owes answers to the children who were so dreadfully treated. I note that Senator Fielding is patron of the White Balloon Day, which is run by Bravehearts, and I note Senator Fielding's previous advocacy on this and other issues. I hope this motion is passed at this stage. There are important issues, there are unresolved issues, and important issues of law reform in relation to the protection of documents, cabinet in confidence, the protection of whistleblowers and related matters, and the victim at the centre of this horrific matter still hasn't had her say. And there have been recent developments in relation to this which I believe ought to be the subject of an appropriate Senate inquiry. Right. I support that, and I move, if I can indicate that I move the motion standing in my name.
Senator Bob Brown.
Make a brief statement.
Is leave granted? Leave's granted for 2 minutes. Senator Bob Brown.
I appreciate what Senator Xenophon said, and that's correct. I note, however, that there has been extensive inquiries into this matter by the Senate on at least 3 previous occasions, and we all know the impost on there is. We've just arranged for another extensive inquiry into mental health services in this country, and I certainly will enter into talks with Senator Xenophon about this matter, but I am very averse to an inquiry simply traversing ground that's already been serially traversed by previous Senate inquiries. Enormous sympathy for people involved in the matters that Senator Xenophon averred to, and we take that into account. But we also have to be very prudent in the way in which inquiries repeatedly come before this Senate for exhaustive and sometimes more than that assessment.
The question, therefore, is that the motion moved by Senator Fielding.
Thanks, Mr. President.
You are seeking leave?
I seek leave to make a short statement of maybe more than 2 minutes.
Is leave granted? Leave is granted for 2 minutes, Senator Fielding.
This is a very personal issue for everyone in this chamber to look at. Someone who has been sexually abused myself, and I've declared that before, but that's not the issue here. This is a serious issue, that has been asked to be put forward again, and I'm definitely been weighing it up. They've been weighing it up very heavily, and when the notice of motion came through yesterday at, 4 o'clock when I got it, I think, I've had to weigh up what's been put forward and what has been looked into before by the Senate. And I've got to weigh up whether the accusations should continue or whether another inquiry is warranted. And it's not easy. It's not easy to weigh both those issues up. I have I have had people approach me from both sides on this issue, and I suppose that I don't like being accused of things. I hate people accusing me of things as well, but I also don't like sexual abuse, and that's why I'm torn between these two things. And so I know that there have been, I think, a number of occasions where the Senate has considered this issue before, and I do understand that that the matters proposed in this inquiry have already been investigated by Senate committees to the extent of their jurisdiction on several occasions, and there's been found to be nothing. And so I'm concerned that maybe we're accusing again, and the issue is, well, what do you do with that? I am concerned about both issues, and I am concerned about that how many more times do we look into this. Now, some people have come to me, said to me and said, well, look, we should just continue to do it until we get another answer. Well, I don't think that's right either. And I've always taken my vote seriously in this place, and I am torn between the two. I think what hasn't helped is getting the notice of motion late yesterday and the detail of it. I'm being frank. There's been a lot of time. There's been months for this to be brought forward, and weighing up the two, I don't think I can support it.
Question, Senator Ludwig.
Thank you, Mr. President. It just seems incumbent upon government also to state its position.
Is leave granted? Leave's granted for 2 minutes.
Thank you.
Not as long as 2 minutes as I've just...
No, it will be short. The government does not support the motion. It's not that we don't have, from my personal view, and I think the government's view, enormous sympathy for child abuse victims. This is not about examining that issue per se. This seems to be an issue about going back and examining again an issue that has been a number of times been a matter that has been seized by this Senate, and reports, information provided, and we seem to have gone through this range of times. On that basis, I'm not sure the utility of another inquiry in relation to this is, if there is any evidence of child abuse, it should be reported to the authorities, and the authorities should be dealing with it appropriately. If there is any allegations in relation to concealment of evidence, that is also a matter that should be pursued through the relevant authorities. The Senate is not an appropriate body to be doing inquiries of that nature. The Senate has granted a wide remit in what it may look into. It has looked into this on a number of occasions, and the utility of looking into it again on the specific issue, I'm not sure the Senate would be well served in doing that. That's not to distract from the issue that occurred back in circa 1988 through to 1990. That issue is well known in the public domain, and the circumstances surrounding that is well known in the Senate. For those reasons, the government will not be supporting the motion, but I again reiterate the importance of highlighting the fact that from the government's perspective, the issue around child abuse is an important issue. It is a matter that is being addressed through the various portfolios which have responsibility through it and through a COAG process, and I would encourage people to use appropriate
Time's
circumstances.
expired. Senator Xenophon.
I seek leave to make a short statement.
Is leave granted? Leave's granted for 2 minutes. Senator Xenophon.
Thank you, and thank you for the indulgence of making a second short statement. Can I say this? This motion deals quite differently from the way that other inquiries about this matter have been dealt with. It deals fundamentally, first and foremost, with issues of law reform in relation to the destruction of documents that could be used in legal proceedings. It deals with the issues of cabinet in confidence. It deals with the issues of the way that people have been dealt with in this matter which have not been previously traversed. It's not about digging up old ground. It's about dealing with fresh matters and about fundamental law reform. And the issue here is that the victim at the centre of this, a 14-year-old girl who was raped in 1988, a 14-year-old girl who was at John Oxley Youth Detention Centre. Those perpetrators have never been charged, yet this woman apparently received a payout from the Queensland Government just last year. She has a confidentiality clause attached to that. She has been gagged from speaking out. She needs to have her voice heard about this. This is about unfinished business that needs to be resolved, not about traversing old ground, and I would urge Senator Fielding to reconsider his position. I'm sorry that it was only lodged yesterday. It is something that my office has been working on for some time. I've had good discussions with Senator Fielding's office about this. If Senator Fielding is minded to have further discussions right now, I would move that this matter be postponed further down in the list if that can be done, if there are other matters to deal with, so I can continue these discussions. But I would urge the Senate to consider this, given that there are new matters, there is unfinished business, and the victim deserves a right to be heard.
Senator Bob Brown. Is leave granted? Wait a minute. Is leave granted? Leave granted for 2 minutes. Senator Bob Brown.
Well, I disagree with Senator Xenophon on this matter. He's just indicated that he's been dealing with this matter for some time. We are in the last day of this last week of sitting in the financial year. The senator can bring back a different motion in the future. Senator Fielding is quite right. We have all had this very complex and highly charged motion brought before us yesterday afternoon. Senator Xenophon ought to have brought it to the senator's attention earlier than this, and ought to ensure that there is due time for it to be properly considered. It's not a good process that we're being put upon. I repeat again, having put upon us, I repeat again, there have been 3 Senate inquiries into this matter. You can come back with a differently configured set of terms of reference, but there needs to be due justification for that, and then we need to absorb that and take it into account. I don't think this process is a good one.
All right. The question before the chair is that the motion moved by Senator Xenophon be agreed to. That's the motion currently before the chair. The question before the chair is that the motion moved by Senator Xenophon be agreed to. Those of that opinion say aye. Against say no. The noes have it. Division required. Ring the bells.
That must do a pretty good job, Steve.
Lock the doors. Lock the doors. The question is that the motion moved by Senator Xenophon be agreed to. The ayes will pass to the right of the chair. The noes to the left of the chair. Point Senator Parry, teller for the ayes. Senator McEwen, teller for the noes.